$100,000 for the biggest bass caught in the MLF Heavy Hitters Tournament. Let's talk about it. Can you imagine fishing in a tournament where the biggest bass on the final round of just 10 anglers could net you a cool $100,000? Well, that's what's happening at MLF Heavy Hitters coming up April 9th to the 14th on Lake Palestine in Texas. This should be a cool event to follow along with, but let's talk about what we're going to do for fantasy picks. First, we're going to set up how this tournament's going to work, and then we'll talk about the picks. So it's the top 32 big bass catchers from last season in the MLF Bass Pro Tour. Basically, they kept track of their biggest bass at each event and those cumulative weight of those biggest bass at each event. They took the top 32, basically in points or pounds, for their heavy hitters from each event for this event. Those anglers will be broken into two groups. They will compete with 16 groups each for 2 qualifying rounds. The winner of each one of the qualifying rounds goes right to the championship, which is good because then they're in for the $100,000, but they're going to miss the knockout round, and it misses a chance to win a bonus $50,000 by not fishing the knockout at all. Then the top 7, 2nd through 8th, so the next 7 in each qualifying round now advance the knockout round. 14 anglers will compete for 8 spots to join those other 2 to move on the knockout round. So if they catch the big bass in the knockout round, that's a bonus $50,000. Finally, the top 10 anglers all compete on the final day, winner take all. First place, $100,000, but big bass is also $100,000. So if an angler gets big bass and wins, it's $200,000. But you could literally finish 10th, catch 1 bass. But if it's a giant, you could win $100,000. Imagine that. 1 big bite for $100K. Sometimes big bass of the tournament doesn't even cover your entry fee in an event. Also of note, when you're picking your teams, the qualifying rounds and the knockout rounds are 2-pound minimum, but the final day round is a 3-pound minimum to be a qualifying scoreable bass. Before we get into the picks for this event, let's talk and see where we are in the standings and how everybody's doing and who's leading the group for the chance at some Super K swim jigs. In the traditional Bass Pro Tour game, I'm a little ways behind. I'm over 800 pounds off the pace, which doesn't feel great. Now let's see how we're doing in the Beat HellaBass League. In the Beat HellaBass League, I'm 82nd and only about 700 pounds off the pace to Mark Blackstad, who continues to hold down the top spot. He clearly has hopes at securing himself some gift cards and some prizes from Super K jigs. Few pursuers that are just a few 200 pounds back that are looking to reel them in, and heavy hitters will be one of the places they try to do that. And if you don't think you have any chance of catching Mark, or you're just way too impatient, feel free to use the code HellaBass15 to save yourself some money on some made in the USA, hand-tied, hand-painted, custom swim jigs. Links in the description below. Check them out. They're really sweet. Looking at my Group A roster, knowing Lake Palestine is a big bass fishery, shallow water, it's got some color to it. Lake levels go up and down. It is springtime. This should be a hot time. But there's also going to be a lot of pressure potentially from locals and other tournaments and things like that throughout this event. But no matter what, there are going to be some huge bass, potentially 8, 9, 10 pounders caught during this event. So I'm setting up my team, Jacob Wheeler. It's hard not to pick him for at least every single event. The only downside to Wheeler is he often wins his way into the final round, and sometimes you miss out on those knockout round pounds. Brian Thrift seems to catch him just about everywhere. He's having a great year. Bobby Lane coming off the Red Crest. He has done well in Louisiana in these MLF-style events before. This fishery should set up for him very well. Elton Jones Jr. being a Texas guy, I think he'll be good here. And then Ott Defoe, shallow water. He hasn't had the greatest year. He was number 2 in AOY last year, and I feel like he's going to rebound here and have a good event. Not to mention Bobby Lane seems like the best of the best when you're trying to select that single angler below 40 in the AOY. Moving on to Group B, Jordan Lee having a heck of a year. Hard to leave him off your team. Edwin Evers made the final round at Red Crest, looking for some redemption. Oklahoma anglers usually do well. In Texas, Stephen Browning, this seems like it should really fit up with him. Being an Arkansas River guy, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, flipping is his jam. I expect him to have a banger event at the heavy hitters. Cliff Crochet and Gerald Sport are the Louisiana guys. Lake Palestine probably fishes like some of those bayou lakes, and I expect those guys to do well. And Cliff Crochet is my guy for my below 40, and I just think he's going to have a good event. MLF hasn't been super great to him, but this is the week, I think, where he has a good event, and he's a steal at the below 40 group. Tiebreaker, what will the winner's championship round weight be for this event? Now, remember, this is the championship only, what the winner's weight will, and that's how much will his winner weight be with all scoreable bass combined, but they are a 3-pound minimum. I'm going for about 36 pounds. I'm thinking they're going to catch about 8 to 10 bass that weigh 3 to 5 pounds each, putting that 36, maybe 40 pounds. They might surprise me. Maybe they'll crush them even more, but that's where I'm going. Just make sure you remember those parameters as you set your tiebreaker. Moving on to the predictor game. For some reason, 6 wins seems less daunting than however many hundreds of pounds I was back in the other game, but it may not actually be any easier. Hopping on over to the private leagues and looking at the Beat HellaBass group. If you want to join any of my HellaBass groups, I will put down links and codes in the description if you want to join these groups if you're not already in. I'm also 6 wins back as Billy Johnson is tied for the lead in the overall, doing great. So he is well positioned to get himself some Super K swim jigs in the future. I know you want them, Billy. Mike, Chris, and Wyatt all are hoping to make a move and have something to say about that before the end of the season. So now let's get into the picks. Hopefully give them some insight for Mike, Chris, and Wyatt to help them reel Billy in with a few events left. First question, which one of these 4 anglers is going to do the best? Ott Defoe, James Watson, Tommy Biffle, Jeff Crete. Now this type of fishery could sit up really well for Tommy Biffle. I think it also sets up okay for Ott Defoe. Traditionally, Ott Defoe is just much more better at this format than any of these other 3 guys, so it's hard for me not to pick them. Jeff Crete, Oklahoma guy, Tommy Biffle, Oklahoma guy, Watson, an Ozarks guy. They all could do well, but for me, I'm going to stick with Ott for this one. Over under on the number of total scoreable bass that we caught during the championship round of the General Tile Heavy Hitters. So that's 10 anglers, championship round, 3 pound minimum scoreable bass. So over or under 57.5. So 57.5 is almost 60. So that means that basically they would have to average 6 3-pounders or better a piece. I'm going to take the under. I think some guys will struggle to catch more than 3 or 4 scoreable bass. Now, the winner may crush that, but I think on average, I think they're going to fall just short of that. But that's just me. If the bite's really good, they definitely could blow it out of the water. Third question, what will the weight of the $50,000 knockout round big bass be? So that's when 14 anglers are fishing for $50,000 in the knockout round. And I think there is a really, really good chance that they'll catch one over 8 pounds, 1 ounces. I am very confident that will happen based on Lake Palestine record. Maybe it's 6 to 8 pounds, but I think there's almost no chance that it's 0, 4, or 4 to 6 pounds. Maybe slight chance 4 to 6, a little bit better chance 6 to 8. I think there's a better chance that it's 8 pounds, 1 ounces or over if there's not multiple over 8 pounds. What will the score weight of the biggest bass of the championship round, the $100,000 bass, be? Now that's when we're down to 10 anglers, minimum 3 pounds. So they're going 0 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 9, or 9 plus. Again, almost 0 chance that it's below 5 pounds. Pretty good chance it's going to fall between that 7 to 9. An okay chance that it's 5 to 7. And there's also a pretty decent chance that it's over 9. But a 9-pound bass is big anywhere. Whereas that 7 to 9, that 2-pound range, that's where I'm putting my money at and playing the odds. How many scoreable bass over 5 pounds will be weighed during the championship round? By the entire 10 anglers, I'm going 9. So I'm saying almost all of them will get 1. So on average, it'll be almost 1 per angler over 5 pounds. And then also, how many total scoreable bass will the winner weigh? And I think it's right about 9. And that goes back to my other prediction in the first one, right? I'm figuring they're going to have about 9 or 10 bass that weigh 3.5 to 5 pounds. And it's going to get them in that high 30s, low 40s pound range. So that's what I'm going with. Remember, it's a 3-pound minimum on those 9 scoreable bass. I think that's about where the winner is. Maybe it'll be a little bit higher, but just remember you understand that. I really think shallow power fishing is going to play a huge role, so make sure you set your lineups based on that theory. And speaking of power fishing, I think a chatterbait will play really big this week. And if you would love to learn more about chatterbaits, rod and reel setups, and a whole lot more, make sure you check out this video right here.